Between aging and busy lifestyles, many women struggle with maintaining their physical and mental wellness. At Aquavita Concierge Healthcare Services for Women, we can help you revitalize your health and reclaim your life. We start from within by balancing your hormones, allowing your body to achieve and maintain desired weight goals. We also specialize in peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, sexual health, and aesthetics in our state-of-the-art facilities. Feel better, look better, live better. At Aquavita, visit aquavitality.com and begin your journey today.
Group behavior. Is it true that popular opinion is the right opinion, or is it just the most well-known opinion because everybody follows it and nobody questions it? Are we to follow what our fellow man or woman says, or are we really to second guess and think for our own and try to do the best we can to get through our days and nights? Then there are times where we realize our peers will influence us more than we know. There are times that we figure, as grounded as we are individually, sometimes peer pressure can be one hell of a trip and make you do anything, especially if you're conditioned to do such. It's been a while, guys. Welcome to the J-Man Show here on
J360 Radio.
Between aging and busy lifestyles, many women struggle with maintaining their physical and mental wellness. At Aquavita Concierge Healthcare Services for Women, we can help you revitalize your health and reclaim your life. We start from within by balancing your hormones, allowing your body to achieve and maintain desired weight goals. We also specialize in peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, sexual health, and aesthetics in our state-of-the-art facilities. Feel better, look better, live better. At Aquavita, visit aquavitality.com and begin your journey today.
Ah, yes. Finally, it is time to return to where I feel myself, pretty much. Hey, everybody, it's good to be back. Welcome to episode 76. This is J-Man, of course, just letting you know how I've been, and I've been pretty good. Just busy a lot, doing different things here and there. Apparently, I had to go ahead and work on some more upkeep around here, just to keep things, somewhat together. In case those of you have probably wondered whether I'm on the Cyclone series or not. Yeah, sort of. Because I'm sure you heard from Al, he said I was on vacation. No, not at all. Especially with what I have to do. I had to make sure we're still on the airwaves for another year. So that's not really a vacation, but it is one hell of a trip. Now, in doing 76, I had a script prepared for you all, but it just wasn't that good. So I had to take it out in the back and shoot it. Needless to say, you probably would have been bored of it as you would be bored of anything that's scripted to you all. So no, not tonight. Matter of fact, I've been meaning to talk about something that's kind of been bothering me as of late. You've seen what has happened recently in the news, right? Not the Pittsburgh shooting, but I knew it was a matter of time for another mass shooting would occur. You know what I'm saying? Especially since we just went ahead and got a complete nut job from throwing out all sorts of explosives to different proponents of Trump. And while, I'm trying to give that stuff a break for now, but there's a divine point for why it plays a role in the Monster Fest. You see the evils of what cult thinking can do, right? You see group thinking. Uniting to one cause, uniting to one message, even though the message could be vague as can be, and as vague as that message is, it could lead you to do so many things if you blindly believe it or you willingly follow it. And on the Monster Fest, I've seen a lot of movies lately that have covered such things, like Children of the Corn, like this movie I'm watching right now called The Windmill. And of course, a lot of people that have accepted their ways but are not open to outsiders, like the Chernobyl Diaries. Whether you like that film or not, you can still tell that certain people, there's a bit of cult activity going on there because a lot of those mutants have survived and they said, well, we just don't want you in our strange land, stranger. Among other things. And you see, cult thinking is based on the idea that there is one principle and one rule to follow. And as you're following that rule right now, any sort of adversity to that idea, which is where we lived all of our lives around, you're a pariah and a heretic, and you must be destroyed for it. You have caused more trouble just by even mentioning a counter thesis to my way, and you must be wiped out. And the evils of that is that these people will not allow you to speak, will not allow you to go ahead and voice your opinion on things or say, you know what, hey, maybe we got this idea wrong. See, because some people are so well invested in everything else, they're not going to allow that stuff to happen. I mean, at the end of the day, who says the second voice is necessary when the group voice is the one that knows all, right? Mob mentality. Like right now, a lot of people are scrambling and worried about voting next month because of the issues regarding voter suppression and the ideals that the right is right, right? And I mean right-wingers, the red side of things, the ones that have not been in total control since 160 years ago. And now that you have things in total control, you don't want to give that power up. You don't want anything to be exposed, do you? You want to have that grip over everything. And anybody thinking outside the box or even trying to provide a good counter argument to it is practicing wrongthink. And it happens more often than you know, not just in the horror basis, but in the fact that there are people out here that don't want you to think for yourselves. They want you to listen and believe. But the problem with listen and believe is there is a lie in the middle of it. Anybody can lie to you and make you do certain things by manipulating you. Anybody can go ahead and make you feel smaller by just taking a shot at things that could make you small. Like when some people will try to jeopardize your job just because they can. Or when some people start practicing quid pro quo over on you. Which some of these cults have done. Yes, we must sacrifice your body, your virginal body, so that we can go ahead and appease the devil. And also put his seed within you. Thereby that the Antichrist will grow to a very festive, powerful being. And will lead us to enlightenment. And I'm totally grasping at straws there because I did see Rosemary's Baby not too long ago. But the thing about it is, if somebody's out there practicing that stuff right now, stop it right now. Don't open the gates and bring certain things here that you have no control over. And if you are part of a coven, please make sure that you stay the hell away from me. Right off the bat. Not trying to be mean like that, but I'm just saying, you know, when you start unlocking spirits and they start coming around, I'd rather them beat your ass than try to come after me about things. But when you see like certain minds and certain people when they come together, like a brotherhood of certain things, or a sisterhood of another, which Sapricia is good about. Or, I'm not really saying the title of it right, but, and forgive me for those of you horror buffs out there, it's been a crazy day. But for those that know that that dance studio was really a coven of witches that were actually sacrificing young virginal women to keep the headmaster young, yeah, stuff about that ain't right. But the fact is all of them have real basis to them. I mean, you look at the Manson family and all the things that they've done just to practice and get to enlightenment in certain ways. To murder and take a woman's baby out of her stomach and, you know, on and on. Or, hell, we can go into those nutcases over at Heaven's Gate and what they were trying to do. Yeah, you drink the Kool-Aid and then all of a sudden your problems will go away. It's amazing how that went down, right? You know, you see Family Guy made fun of that too, because apparently when the rest of the kids that were in that cult were not about the cult anymore, they wanted to, you know, gain some sort of understanding somewhere else. Or no, Peter was talking to them, you know, to go and hang out with Meg instead, talking about the importance of the family unit. Instead of just belonging to a group, they were all like, yeah, I remember my mom. I remember everything else, how things were. Yeah, let's go to the birthday party too. But first, let's take a drink. And then they all died. And since they all died, and the headmaster came back and was like, what happened here? I wouldn't. Hey, as a matter of fact, I wanted to. I can't drink this by myself. People will think I'm crazy. I need to die with somebody. You know, it's amazing. I wonder if the guy who did Heaven's Gate did drink that stuff. It's one of them kind of things where, you consider, like, did he do it or didn't he do it? Because this was his idea. But that's why you should never really let anybody, or anyone, I should say, in groups, manipulate you into doing certain things. Let me see, did he drink it? Nah, from what I'm reading, he didn't, but it's not a good thing. All I know is this, like, oh yeah, Marshall Applewhite, that's his name. Wow. They would take barbiturates and alcohol and then place bags over their head, and they wore Nike shoes, and wow. Well, actually, he did kill himself, so that's true, He did kill himself, he did. Oh, man. But that's just crazy, because he would lead all those young kids to doing all that stuff to themselves, and then in a way of reaching out to, like, where space is coming in, because they thought the Enlightenment was from aliens, which is similar to another sign of group thinking that's out there where they all think we descended from aliens. When is Xenu coming back, huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's when, when you hear about certain religions and things like that, even the religions that are already established, because there are moments where things conflict, you got to start asking questions. And then when you do ask questions, make sure there's a way you can escape out of that kind of thinking, because some people will try to nullify and dull things around you, so you have no choice but to be in that group. And I feel sorry for the kids that have been woefully indoctrinated within something like that. Like, you ever see those kids that are, like, looking like they can't get away? They're, like, latchkey kids, and they're stuck within the whole thing, and they start reciting the stuff? Yeah, there's something about that that's a little off, because, see, they were born into that group. And they believe that the way they're practicing their religion, no matter how wrong it is the right way. It's why you have certain people out there that say, well, atheism is good for this because we don't believe in all that kind of stuff, but we're going to go ahead and say, you know what? Yeah, our way is the right way. Because you see some people will take that and twist it around, which at the same time, everything is based on a choice. Once you have that choice, once you have that free will, you can break chains. But you see a lot of people, they don't want to break chains like anything. They don't realize that, hey, maybe their life's in danger. They don't realize that, hey, maybe sacrificing your body to a volcano god just to please the harvest for the next few years isn't exactly a good idea. Because maybe the island was going to fall apart in the first place. And it seems like I'm grasping at things, but what I'm saying is that sometimes you got to question, why is everybody thinking that the most popular way of denouncing things, or not denouncing, the most popular way of explaining things is the right way? Why is everybody so assimilated in certain things? And you got to be the pariah because you ask, well, what if I told you that there was another way about it? What if, maybe there's something different to this whole stream of things? I mean, and then later on, as you point that out, just be like, what if you were wrong? See, that's those kind of things. But you see, if you are, chances are the headmaster will look at you and say, you've given me something to think of. Might I see you in my office a few minutes ago? Now, granted, you might not get out of that office because, you see, once you go in there, 2 go in, 1 usually leaves. And chances are it's the headmaster that leaves because, well, he had to make an example of you somehow. And even then, developing awareness is not good when it's centralized in something. It's kind of like when you look at Logan's Run and you realize that as soon as you hit 30, you got to go to Carousel. And when you go to Carousel, yeah, sure, you achieve the great beyond at that point. But guess what? You're dead. Like, there's no other way about it. You're dead at that point because you just danced around and got flowed up into an air hole and they just shot lasers through you just to keep the status quo normal. And if you ever decide to run, they'll send the Sandman after you to go ahead and cap you. So, hey, wouldn't it have been better if you went to Carousel instead of just getting capped by the Sandman? That's something for you all to think of down the road. I'm putting a little sci-fi in it too, but hey, some of the most freakiest things out here are based around like theology and mythical creatures, and not to mention some of the Lovecraftian kind of ways of seeing things. Because I think there's a group out there that was dedicated to Cthulhu at one time, and you know how it goes usually with this kind of thing. Like, sacrifice to please him. And it's like, what? Hold up now. No sacrifices. No going ahead and offing each other for this. Because in the end, there are so many ways for this stuff to not work that you can't help but just be like, why did you even think that this was a good idea? But then you also look at it, because there's always that chance that it could work. What if you did summon Satan there? What if you did put the Antichrist into, like, one of these women that were willing to take it and stuff like that? What if that did succeed? Would you be comfortable with the idea, or would you be officially freaked out? Now, I don't know about you, but if something like that happened with my friends and stuff like that, I wouldn't be friends with them anymore, and I'd be trying to find ways to combat that situation, because there is no reason for that gate to be open and then this monstrosity to be here right now, which is kind of what these people are doing on Windmill right now. Got all these people in here, every single one of them from tragic backgrounds, and then you see, of course, the main girl is the one that's looking for a nice home and a happy life, but the thing about it is that how far is she willing to go to get it? And I can see how the entity that is in the windmill is sucking her in for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how the way this movie turns out. Yeah, so I'm doing a little commentary while I'm doing the show right now, but it is amazing the fact that this is what people will do to get that bliss and that happiness. Oh yeah, sure, she thinks she's okay, but this is all a dream, and chances are that's probably some demonic child right there, just waiting to break out and attack her. Well, any minute now. To hell with this movie right now. Because you see, like, the point is that when you're doing these kind of things, you know, you're looking to see exactly what develops over time. And it's like, there is also a well-known cult out there. I mean, you could go ahead and say Westboro Baptist Church is a cult. I mean, they all have their hair done the same way. They're all running around spewing hate, which there's a lot of hate groups out here. Those are cults, too. I mean, you look at, like, the Aryan Brotherhood. You look at, like, basically, you could just say the Trump rallies are pretty much areas of hate, too, because you got a lot of people that are loving the rhetoric that's being spattered around, and everybody's saying all this, make America great again, where at the same time, it's not saying that all of them are racist, but it's just saying that the vices are heightened, because this man is speaking about all this stuff and not benefiting anyone. He hasn't even described to you how he's making America great again, other than just saying, you know what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take over this group here. We're not going to go ahead and allow this to happen. We're going to ban Muslims, and we're going to build a wall around Mexico because Mexicans are bringing drugs, and they're going to try to mess up our children and everything. Look, is there any factual basis in this stuff? Does it feel weird that this mob mentality has resurfaced and is long since trying to change the face of things? Is that what freedom's really about? To have a whole lot of growth in one area, but to subjugate the freedoms of another particular group and anywhere else out here? See, it's not right. And the thing about it is, you ask yourself right now, you're probably thinking no, but let me ask you something like that when you're surrounded by a group. Let me ask you something like that when you're surrounded by people who follow that mentality. I probably couldn't get a word in edgewise too much, not without a bullhorn and maybe people backing me up too. But the thing about it is this. At that point, it's a full-blown argument because you got multiple voices going on here and there. And the thing about it is, while people are yelling at each other and they're speaking it out, they're not necessarily talking. And you see, that's the evils of groupthink. And that's where, you know, sometimes, you know, when you want to protest, you got to really make sure you know what you're doing. That way so you don't get caught up in the heat of the moment and then things just, you know, go to the wayside. Another good example of that, of evil mob mentality, is from a well-known popular Twilight Zone episode called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. I mean, I will always live by that because the way they were going after, like, certain houses would have electricity and other houses wouldn't have electricity. And the way, like, they were just mobbing around the people that they suspected. And, like, the one guy in the audience, well, not audience, the one guy in the group named Charlie, he was like, yeah, we should string them up. We should go ahead and make their lives live in hell and yada, yada, yada. And then, like, the one who tried to be the voice of reason, Steve, he said, whoa, Charlie, I don't know why you acting like you're a county prosecutor or whatever, but you need to just go home and keep your mouth shut and stop staring all these people up, jumping to conclusions. And the thing is this. Those people jumped to conclusions to the point where they ended up destroying each other after a while. And what it turned out to be was just an alien invasion. They were like, you know what? When we invaded, we don't have to come in with our armed forces or nothing. All we got to do is take the one things that they take for granted and use them against them, while at the same time tricking and manipulating them into destroying each other. That way, their only enemies that are really harmful are themselves. And you can see that with the way, like, all these MAGA drones are running around here doing these sort of things. Now, I'm not saying that Republicans are bad. There's some Republicans out there that want to do the right thing, but there's quite a lot of them that have this agenda or these agendas they want to push. And you can tell that the pendulum has been pushed back so far. Whereas, like, the opposition to that should be pushing back too, but not trying to push certain agendas through that are ridiculous. Now, keep in mind, and I'm saying this not to dissuade any of you that are Republican. And what I'm saying is, be mindful that this is democratic country too. You see what I'm saying? And both sides need each other. Both sides do. It has to be that way. That's why it's called democracy. Not everybody's supposed to agree on certain things. But a lot of people feel really comfortable when they do. And that's why cults work so well, right? They're all united on that one thing. And if it's the most popular idea, even with no grounds behind it, you can go ahead and push that and get away with it, can't you? You know what I'm saying? See how scary it is? So, like, if somebody was to tell you that the flying spaghetti monster was coming around and he was blessing all the children and could cure polio and cancer, and it was such a convincing argument, you would agree with that, right? And you would willingly follow it because it feels so good. It's that shot of enthusiasm that just makes you, makes you feel like you're a part of something grand. And believe it or not, that shot of enthusiasm can be used by anybody, especially the most evil people in the world. You'll have bliss. You'll have prosperity. You'll have freedom. Live by my way. Understand my rule. Don't worry about what they say. They say all sorts of things about me. They've said awful things about other saviors too. But I'm here for you. And the new way is open to you. Everything is laid out. Now why don't you just go ahead and sacrifice your dog? And then later on, we will take care of your problematic significant other. Creepy, right? But that's what people do. People like that. People love gratification. And if you're one of them kind of people that say, oh, I don't care what everybody thinks. If I gave you gratification right now, would you feel good about it? You're doing a swell job. You're making it all come together. This is exactly the way I envisioned it. I wanted it to be this way. So I want you to go ahead and do something else for me. I want you to go ahead and make me a cup of coffee, and then let's just talk about some more things here. About the next way for you to become something better. And we're going to fix you up. And go far into the world and do so. Don't forget to burn yourself. See things like that. Manipulative voice. Bliss. Everything that you wanted. All of the freedom you could have. But when you realize that you're doing it all without discipline, that's when you got to check yourself. And then when you're in a group like that, you got to try to think this. I mean, a lot of people don't want to be the voice of reason, but if you think it critically and you start looking at it and saying, like, this isn't the right way, this isn't how we're going to do it, be prepared to fight for that argument and be prepared to stay consistent with it, because if you don't, they will do what they can to suppress that. And see, now, like I told you before in Windmill, this woman wanted to be so beautiful right here, and now all of a sudden the monster just grabbed her by her face, pulled her right into the pool and now is drowning her. So that's one soul already sacrificed to the devil. All because she wanted to be vain and beautiful. See, vanity is a sin. I don't know if it's much of a sin now because of all the snob appeal that's out there in advertising, but it's a sin, and now she's been sacrificed, and they're going to take her away. And that's a shame, too, because I wanted her to survive this movie so that she could be that photographer she wanted to be. And now we're back to the rest of the people, and I don't know, everybody else in this movie's kind of a drag, except for the businessman and his son. Hopefully they'll make it. And it's like a bounty right now. I don't know how some of y'all watch horror movies, but there are times like I have a listing of who's going to die and who's not going to go, and those that I hope are going to survive. Kind of like a little draft thing. But, man, right now, this is just one of them kind of moments where you just want everybody to go. Well, except the businessman and his son. You know, at least they have a chance. Whereas, like, right now, this guy is praising to Buddha, but I don't think Buddhism is going to work this time. And I'm not saying that it's against the religion. This is not too much of a religious episode. I'm talking about the ground of things. Oh, just summon the monster right there in front of them. Hey, you know what? You guys have got to check it out. It's called The Windmill. But, you know, when you look into certain ways and why people govern things and why people have a certain status quo as God mentality, it's usually because of things like this. Like, you know, they'll tell you not to question things. They'll tell you not to go ahead and pursue things. They'll do what they can to rope you all and loop you down into something and anchor you to something because that's just their way of functioning. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with asking a question about it. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know, I just don't believe in it. There's nothing wrong with certain things and certain freedoms in doing that. It's just when you discipline yourself on the matter. And then, like, if you ever start questioning something, that means that there's doubt there. That means that there's something there that you just don't agree with. So, you know, how you handle it is entirely up to you. But if you're ever dealing with a cult, you'll know a cult because they're the ones that will try to suppress it. Actively suppress it. At that. Whereas some other people will be open to you speaking your mind. Open to you saying certain things. And that's why horror is so great because you see the thing about it is, the status quo is thrown off by different things. So it tries to fix itself. Like, you know, like them people that keep opening up Crystal Lake. And you know they shouldn't because, hey, that's just Jason's stomping ground. And since you done went ahead and did what you did, opened it up, I don't really see him attacking the kids. I see him going after the counselors because of the sinful things they do. You know, so you look at it that from that point of view. But then when you look at, like, how this movie's turning out right now. Ah, okay. Yep, see? Talking about how the lady's gone that just died and everything else. They're all sitting there. Of course, they showed the ghoul not too long ago. But this is a wild movie. Like, first it was kind of lame because it was slow building up. But now it's actually getting good. But this is why horror is such a good genre. It lets you know, like, how sometimes the things that we praise, preach, and appreciate sometimes has something wrong with it or is anecdotal at best. And then you see like how the evil behind it is going to do what it can to make itself stay relevant. And that's when you just got to say, you know what, I know this isn't right, I know I have to break from it, so let's do something about it. Another good example, and this is in a different form of media, check out the BioShock series. They're notorious about escaping from a cult, especially when it comes to two different ideas. And the first one, where it's about the self, and it's about being a slave to somebody, which is what your character has to go through. A man obeys, a man questions, or a slave obeys. And then there's the second one where, you know, you're breaking against the idealism of a group think, at least in the second one. The third one is all about, you know, BioShock Infinite was a very complex title, but, you know, sometimes it seems to weigh or tries to work with all three of those ideologues, but that's why I like the second one so much, because it felt like, you know, as you regain free will, you can make choices. Everybody else is trying to function in a group, even though the city is woefully decayed by this point. So it's like you're looking at this and you're like, wow, it's a good thing I'm thinking for myself as I'm blasting through them all, and I'm using my plasmids for the save my daughter, so that she doesn't have to suffer the same fate. It's amazing. Because you see, you got to have yourself to think of, and you got to have a form of self so you can function through all these things and question everything. And then if you're one of those kind of people that secretly want to belong to a group, you got to be careful with that too, because that means that you're susceptible to being roped into anything. Anything, anybody, anywhere is good at manipulating, especially if they know how to do it. So that's where you as the person have to be like, all right, this isn't right. This is what we're going to do about this. This is what we're going to solve. If you see like the way a group acts, just be like, all right, you know what? Backing away from it. And then you'll go and find different groups. I myself never really belonged to a group. But that never stopped me from teaming up with people throughout my life. But that's why people can't categorize me for anything. And I'm just sharing this knowledge with you as I speak in broad terms about how cults and how group thinking and all that stuff goes. There's nothing wrong with agreeing from time to time, but there is something wrong with conformity and speaking in unison and running around here waving an idea while practicing something else. And it's true to form because you see it in the news every single day. So that's just one of them things I want to let you all know about. But see, that's what I have for you all for 76 today. All the evils of groupthink. Like, really just think about it sometime. And pay attention to those you hang out with and see how their mannerisms are when they go about doing certain things. I'm not saying distrust them. I'm just saying, like, really think about what's in your circle. You'd be surprised. But, hey, I've already said too much. And that's all I have for you regarding 76. But guess what? Episode 77 is landing tomorrow night. And hopefully it'll be a little earlier. I mean, I had some things to do at the day job and whatnot. But hopefully it'll be a little bit earlier and we can go ahead and get some more things looked at because we're going into the more alien supernatural side of things. And yeah, you got something to look forward to because, whew, we got some monsters to cover. But see you next time. This is Jay signing off. Y'all take it easy and peace on out.
Selling your car to Carvana is as easy as...
As easy as pie?
Sure. All you have to do is enter your license plate or VIN.
As easy as a stroll in the park.
Okay, then just answer a few questions and you'll get a real offer in seconds.
As easy as singing.
Why not? Schedule a pickup or drop-off and Carvana will pay you that amount right on the spot.
As easy as playing guitar.
Actually, I find that kind of difficult. But selling your car to Carvana is as easy as...
Can be.
Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get an instant offer today.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.